you have so many different parts to you that, we get glimpses of each part, like, seeing you. So when did you start like your journey? Like, were you always a creative child, or how does that start for you?
Um, yeah, thank you. My ego being invited on a podcast, y'all don't understand. Like riding around town and whatnot, just knowing I have a podcast. Like, talking to my coworker yesterday, like, what are your weekend plans? Just quietly hoping they were going to ask me because I have a podcast interview. My ego has been huge. I'm going to be so annoying to be around from this point on.
Hello, hello, hello. Welcome into another episode of The Artist Journey. Today we have the pleasure of speaking with Brody Taylor. Brody is a multifaceted musician, illustrator, nurse, and event organizer. And I actually got the opportunity to meet you at Freeside Atlanta.
Yeah.
So I'm so happy to have you on our show and to get your intake and to learn about your journey. And because I feel like your story will be inspirational to many artists, many indie artists coming up, and just people who are in the arts or just even want to involve themselves with the community. So just like how we like to start off every episode, we have Yogi T. So what does your Yogi T say on your message?
Uh, um, this tea for all listeners. This tea, like no one's paying me to do this or anything. This tea slaps. It's awesome. Throat. We're just gonna plug that first. I don't know if you guys can do a little zoom in post edit kind of thing. Throat coat.
Mm-hmm.
Best throat coat I've ever had. Again, no one's paying me to say that. I have no incentive here. Okay. Forgiveness is an act of consciousness. Ooh. Okay. Okay. Yeah.
I like that one. Do you have any thoughts on that?
I have a lot of thoughts on that. Yeah. Yeah, that's actually something from a therapeutic standpoint I've been trying to work on.
Mm-hmm.
My partner and I both have actually been kind of had our own little personal experiences with that. Yeah, like family members and stuff. Like I guess we'll start off heavy right at the beginning of the podcast. But so like my dad passed at like December. And like there was some strain there in that relationship. We were talking and whatnot, but there was definitely some tension there. And I was lucky enough to have the kind of heads up that he was going to pass. Like he had cancer, so it was something like, and it was stage 4, so we kind of knew like, okay, this is the route that we're on. Like, and that's, like, I guess the silver lining of the situation. Stage 4 cancer isn't a good thing, but a big part of that kind of coming to terms with it was forgiving him while he was still alive.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, that is very much an act of consciousness of like being aware of what's going on inside of you every time y'all interact and you think about them and stuff like that. So yeah, I hear that.
Yeah. Yes. Forgiveness. Yeah. Absolutely. It's not an easy thing to do, but it's a necessary thing to do, even just for your own psyche, honestly, too, just to help, us move forward and move past it. And yeah. So when did your journey begin, Brody? When did you decide, like, cause you, like, your illustrations, you're really talented.
Thank you.
I didn't even know how great you were until I actually went on your Instagram and actually seen that. And I was like, oh wow, And then you're really good at. You have a good musical ear. You produce music as well, and you play music and you sing. But then you're also a nurse. So like you have so many different parts to you that we get glimpses of each part, like seeing you. So when did you start like your journey? Like were you always a creative child, or how does that start for you?
Yeah, thank you. My ego being invited on a podcast, y'all don't understand. Like riding around town and whatnot, just knowing I have a podcast. Like, talking to my coworker yesterday, like, what are your weekend plans? Just quietly hoping they were going to ask me because I have a podcast interview. My ego has been huge. I'm going to be so annoying to be around from this point on. So my journey, that's, it's wild to think of it like that. Is so when I was like 5 years old, I was diagnosed with ADHD, and my mom, in her infinite patience, uh, got got me into like therapy for that. And one of the things, for a lot of other stuff that was going on in my life around that time too, but one of the things that I got out of therapy was that they taught me that drawing was a way that I could funnel all of this excess energy and still like exist within a what I guess you would now call like a neurotypical environment or whatever. So yeah, so like from that point on, uh which I said 5, but like I really think I really started drawing in like first grade, and from that point on up until like mid high school, I would just fill up just notebooks and notebooks of doodles because that was the only way I could like pay attention in school. um, and yeah, and so that like art has kind of been a central like has central to my existence. Like it's not even just like a hobby, it's like a this has been a way I function in
Mm.
society kind of thing. It's yeah, it's been like gutters in a bowling alley kind of thing for me. um yeah, and then I got my I got a piano, like or my parents bought me because I was a child a keyboard, and started taking piano lessons, and that was cool, and I kind of like tinkered around on it, and it was definitely something to do, like yeah, just after school, because like the cul-de-sac area or the end of the street that I grew up on, there weren't a lot of kids, so I really had to like entertain myself a lot. So most days was me coming home from school in this environment that I cannot like fully let all this out in because you have to pay attention, you have to sit. So I would just come home and just fucking draw for hours, or like play on the keyboard.
Mhm.
Um, and then I got my mom got me my first guitar as a Christmas present when I was 16. I was going through, we had just moved between Georgia and Virginia sophomore year, and I was going through my first breakup of like my
Aw.
first relationship in
Aw.
Virginia.
Aw.
And I don't think mom didn't know, but I think I was probably being a little extra angsty and shit. And she got me a guitar, an Ibanez acoustic for Christmas, and that thing like just stereotypic like teenager finding just the most like heartbreaking songs to learn and da da da. That's how I feel.
Aw.
And that was kind of like that was what propelled me
Mm.
into music. And then uh, I kept playing, but it was just kind of a hobby. Which I mean, it's still a hobby now, but like a very casual hobby back then of just kind of pick it up occasionally and learn a new song. And then around 2020, my high school sweetheart and I had gotten like married, and then we ended up like separating, and I was going through a divorce at 21 years old, which was super weird, during COVID. So like just a lot of weirdness going on in general, and like being a divorcee alone in his apartment, I started really, doing a lot more music. I suddenly had a lot more free time on my
Mhm.
hands and like
Mhm.
space that I wasn't cohabitating with someone else. So I had to figure out what to do. And that's where I wrote my first like proper like, okay, I'm writing a song that has a verse, chorus, da da da, these are the chords, I'm gonna write them down, these are the lyrics. And actually like wrote my first like proper song on guitar, which is Calliope, which is still like one of my favorites to play. um, and it was about my feelings related to like the divorce and what I was feeling at the time. So it was a great way of like, it's kind of a snapshot of that period too. And oh my god, I'm just realizing that breakups have been like my have been was propelled me into the next stage of artistry. And so I was like making songs and whatever, and then I went through another breakup and suddenly had a lot of free time on my hands, and that's when I found this music production resource online called Tone Gym, which is something I recommend to anyone that is interested in getting production because it's totally free. They have like little exercises you can do to like train
Nice.
your ear. Yeah, that part's okay for me. It doesn't work, but I think for other people it would. But the thing that's really useful with them is they have this 3-branched education program. It's totally free for sound engineering, music production, and live sound. I did the music production path, and it took me about a month and a half. It's just YouTube videos. That's all it is.
That's great.
But it's like, it's a curriculum. It's like, so, because I think a lot of times when you're learning something, you only want to learn the things that are fun, especially if it's your thing you're doing in your free time. And this was really good about, like, it had all the fun parts in there, but it also had like some of the stuff that I would not have been able to get my brain to focus on unless someone told me I needed to know it, for like synthesis and like how sine waves work and all that. So I did that for a month and a half, came out the other end with like a base level of knowledge of music production, and started going from there, and then moved to Atlanta in 2023 in January.
Where'd you move from?
Central Virginia, Lynchburg.
Oh, what brought you here?
Well, actually, so because of that same breakup, so I moved 6 months after that. I didn't really have anything tethering me to that space anymore, and I'd always wanted to like live in a bigger city, because I always just felt like I would do better there. And a friend of mine had some connections, had actually lived here because he was going to professional wrestling school. A friend of mine, a very like best friend of mine, a good friend, and he was wanting to move back, and he kind of like just floated this possibility to me. It's this crazy idea, like, what if we moved to Atlanta together? And it terrified the hell out of me. And I sat on it for a few days and told him I'd get back to him. And then I was like, okay, I can see that. Let's do it. And I had the biggest pit in my stomach anxiety for months, and then we moved down here, and it has been like one of the best decisions of my life.
Yeah. That's great. That's good that you pushed past that feeling and still did it anyway, because that's like, because I kind of felt how you felt, because we came from Pennsylvania, so coming down here to a city we never lived before, was something that brought me some nerves a little bit. That's so great. I also like that you process your emotions through music, and that has been the musical motivation and the inspiration for you to grow and to develop. And that's something too that I'm starting to see a pattern with artists of being able to do that for themselves, being able to process their emotions and transmute it into something of art that ends up being a gift, because it's for you, but then it ended up being for other people too. And then now it's something that you've gone through. It's like that's magical, that's so awesome. So as an artist, do you feel that you are connected to your inner child? Like, do you feel, because it's such a playful thing, and it comes from a vulnerable space, do you feel like your music and you being an illustrator and going into that state of mind, do you feel that you're connected to your inner child, or do you feel like it connects you to him?
Oh yeah,
to young Brody.
1000%. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think I think that a lot of me getting back into art and finding the courage to even like call myself a capital A artist, or like want to take art seriously, is repairing. A lot of the work of me doing that is based off the work of me repairing my inner relationship with my inner child. I think like I grew up in a my household definitely very much valued practical work over which my mom is very crafty. She's like crafting all the time. I definitely got that gene from her, but it was definitely like kind of communicated to me at a young age that like that is a hobby thing, not a career thing. So I kind of internalized that as like, this is something that is not really worth putting a lot of my energy towards or whatever. I should do it towards more practical things or things that are making me stronger or whatever. I think like around like 22 or so, I really started really challenging that belief, and in challenging that, like the practical, like the actual, work of that was making art in like a way that spoke to who I was, not like trying to make it come out as what I think it should come out as, but just what it does come out as. But yeah, I think it's that inner child is there in every like strum of the guitar and keyboard press and all that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. So, so my first interaction with you, I believe you were hosting at Freeside, and then I I automatically seen you as an organizer, and I think we've had a few conversations too. So, and then you had your last event that I went to, that you was the host of, and one of the organizers for as well. One good thing, um, that was a recent event. So, do you see, like, you as an artist, do you see the relationship between art and community, or community development, or do you feel that, like, do you see how art can help the development of community? Like, what is your ideas on that?
Yeah, absolutely, 1000%. They're related. Like and this was kind of how I used to think about it whenever I was like first songwriting and stuff. Is that I was terrified to share it with anyone. It felt like this very like intimate part of me for one, and also I just didn't think it was very good.
Mm-hmm.
And some of the first stuff wasn't, but some of my stuff now isn't. But uh, I kind of like I think it is possible to be like this recluse human just doing cave paintings in a cave somewhere and like that's the art you make and you're isolated and never show it to anyone. That's totally fine. There are actually like examples of artists who have passed and we found their work afterwards and they're amazing. There's like this one painter, I'm thinking of a general, I can't remember his name, but like, I think that is a possible approach, but I think it is so much more organic and human. Like we're social creatures. To bring your art into an ecosystem, I think that for most people leads to exponential growth and
Mm-hmm.
experience. There's just so much to learn from being in an environment with other artists, and like my favorite thing now is just seeing people's differences in workflow.
Yeah.
Because you assume, if you both like, if two people have like the same end goal in mind, like I want to paint, this picture and with this color palette, and I want to paint this picture and it's going to have, these shapes on it and da da da. Like you would assume that they would just kind of go about things in the same kind of way,
Mm-hmm.
but it's really not. Or even
Yeah.
maybe if it does, like overarching looks the same, the nuances and how they do it, comparing those to each other, you have so much to learn. And then there's also like, besides the self-improvement part, just the
Mm-hmm.
power that comes from, the energy of that, just putting your energy and voices together.
Mm-hmm.
I think right now, at the stage we're at in our country, with things going on and how scary everything is, I think it's very important to harness that kind of energy,
Yeah.
build and harness that kind of energy, uh, to port towards resistance and giving voice to people and populations that are being affected, that are resisting. Um, yeah, so I think there's just so many different layers to why it's important to make art and community and why they're really hard to separate from each other.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And I'm thinking too back to like the early like days of like caveman days. It's like, we have the fire. I feel like the fire and like storytelling, like
Mm.
just like the most primal like beginning of humanity. Just like sitting around the fire and like sharing stories. I feel like that's like probably like the beginning of theater. And then being able to dream up a new world, dream up a new society, like, dream up something that is beyond where you are today. I think that's the power of the creator, like that we
Mm.
have too as co-creators, as artists.
I never thought about it like that. Yeah, I love the
Yeah,
idea that like fires were like the first artist
right.
communities. That's awesome. I've never thought about that
Yeah,
before.
yeah, cause like, and then like the spirit of it too still is alive. Like, I'm not sure if you've gone to a drum circle, or
Mm.
yeah, like you go to a drum circle, like it's just something that comes out of us. Like, you just feel, it makes you feel, it just ignites something within humans. I don't know what it is, but you just automatically want to dance, you want to laugh, you want to
Mm.
move, and like, then you have the drums and the rhythm. It's just it's interesting, you
Hmm.
know, and I think innately that's like the core of who we are. You know, I feel like the world needs artists. The world needs people to think up a new world, you know,
Hmm.
to have that type of imagination, to share a story and to share expression with each other, to have an outlet to process our thoughts and process our emotions, you know, into something
Yeah.
and transmute it and to transform it, you know, and make it into matter.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. I think
Yeah.
artists a lot of times are the pioneers of things, or
Mhm.
like they're going to be the thing that makes something catch on because they can make it, they can add beauty to an idea or something like
Yeah.
that. And yeah, I think of like art sometimes as kind of biohacking, that like our brains are so like, we have evolved to appreciate color and certain kinds of patterns and certain kinds of sounds like that resonate with our brains more. And I think artists are really just taking advantage of those skills. And like you
Mhm.
said, especially, if you have a vision in mind,
Mhm.
yeah, it's really possible to be a pioneer in that way. Yeah.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. So for people who want to become engaged more so with the community, who are in the Atlanta area or maybe not, you know, how would you go about like being a part of organizations, or what organizations do you suggest people to start with that are in this Atlanta area?
Do you mean from a arts standpoint or from an activism standpoint?
I would say that's a good question. I would say both, but
Mhm.
mainly, I guess the question is originally from like an activist standpoint.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So, uh, two organizations come to mind with the activist thing because Atlanta is so rich with organizations that are just groups of people who have a vision or trying to do something. And I would encourage somebody like to just Google whatever you're passionate about, whatever cause, and put Atlanta behind it. And a lot of times a group will come up that's at least tangentially related to it. But that being said, two groups come to mind that like their actual purpose, or at least like a leading uh, a guiding light of why they exist, is to connect people with other organizations and volunteer opportunities and stuff. First one being Georgia Voices United, who I put on one good thing with Kat and Paige are the like co-founder leaders of it. As I understand, I don't think I've actually explicitly been told that, but that's how I've deduced from that. But their organization, if you like look on their Instagram, it's like turning everyday people into everyday activists kind of thing. Um, and their whole mission is kind of how do we get people to get involved in a way that still like respects their time and energy levels and also takes advantage of their skills and knowledge. So they have, I think on their website, they have like a little button you can click and you can take a quiz of like, what kind of activist are you?
Hmm.
And then we'll kind of point you towards organizations within the area that you could get involved with, um, which I think is really important because I think we have the like fallacy of thinking that like, and I find myself thinking like this too, and I'm kind of learning as I'm starting to transition maybe to the other side of it, how untrue it is that like activists are like capital A activists and like they're just people cut from a different cloth.
Hmm.
That we're like born into destined to be this organizer role. And as I'm getting to meet more of them and like kind of seeing their behind the scenes, what they're like on a Zoom call at like 6 p.m. after a work week, and
Mhm.
like they still have to organize this thing. Um, like they're very much just people. It's just people with a vision.
Mhm.
Um, and so that criteria is very low level for entry. And I think there's a lot of ways to get involved that are more than just protesting, more than just,
Mhm.
spending 8 hours at a homeless shelter or whatever,
Mhm.
volunteering, which those are both great things and we need. But I think there are more minute everyday things that people just maybe aren't aware of. So I think going to organizations like this, Georgia Voices United, is a great start. Then the other organization that I'm just now learning about. So if I say something wrong, I'm sorry, but is Heatwave Atlanta, and they're kind of new on the scene. But I actually just got done speaking to one of the organizers on the way over here to make sure I had it right. But they they are really about coordinating communication between organizations in Atlanta. Because like I said, there's so many. It's this huge
Yeah.
map of organizations of people with different interests and like agendas and stuff. And they're kind of existing to help people communicate and also encourage kind of hyper local involvement. So the way they're doing that is through, once you sign up and you speak to someone there, they'll get you plugged into a signal chat that is your area code. And then from that point, you will be plugged into any events happening within your area code.
That's great.
Right. Yeah. Like as the person was telling me about it, I was like, wait, this is awesome.
I never heard anything like that before.
Yeah,
That's
same.
Yeah.
That's what I
Yeah.
said.
That's
I think it's a
cool.
really important like next step, because I've even had the sense of like when I've gone to some of these events, like there's all these tables around, and like you get the sense of there's all these people with good intention, but if they're not talking to each other, if they're not working with each other, we're really missing this like benefit that we get from like synergy kind
Yeah.
of thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, Heatwave Atlanta, which I don't know if they actually have a proper website yet.
Okay.
I have a link that I would, if you could put in the
Yeah, I can
the
put I can
show
put Georgia United
Mhm.
and the other
Heatwave.
Heat Wave in the description.
Yes.
So people can connect with them as well.
Uh,
And going back to what you're saying about like not sure if they're talking or like having those conversations with each other too. That's where community like creative events comes in too. Kind of like the one that we had a few days ago. The one you put together a few days ago. It just gives you opportunity to meet different organizations and organizations to meet and to connect, because like we all have a different role. Like what I can do, like the next person can't, or the next person can do, I can't do. Like I don't know how to garden. Like I want to get connected actually with like farmers, like local farmers. People. There's people that know how to sustain, live off grid. I want to meet those people. Who are those people in my community? Like so there's people that have an army mindset, and and did Boy Scouts their whole life, and just I don't know, this just have a different mentality. Like I honestly don't know how to fish.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
like certain things I feel like we should connect with, because like we were brought up in a society where we kind of codependent on it. Like they don't teach us these things. Like maybe my ancestors a long time ago knew how to build a house from like the resources around them. I mean, this is Georgia, like just using the like the mud as clay, like the dirt. I don't know, but
The
I'm
wheels
just
are
saying,
turning. I can see the gears turning. Yeah.
right. Just like because we don't need. I mean, we need organization and and order and things like that, but we don't need them. But I digress. What about your creative work excites you the most?
That's a great question. I don't know. Just the feeling I get making it. I don't know. I don't really. I've always had a really hard time when I set out with an intention to make a specific kind of song. That's usually when I get bogged down, and a lot of my best songs come from when I'm working on one project that I have a specific vision for, and I just get so tired of doing that and so pissed off, I just take a break and start just making something that I have no agenda for or anything, and then that thing ends up becoming way more exciting and like ear catching than the thing I was working on. So yeah, I don't know. I have a hard time having really agenda within my art. It kind of just has to be whatever spontaneously happens and whatever idea comes across. Yeah, I really, one of my favorite artists is Jeff Rosenstock. He's like this. I guess I'm still confused about what we're calling this genre, like pop punk, I guess, but not like the like Sleeping with Sirens, like Pierce the Veil pop punk. I don't know. But like it's like contemporary punk, whatever. But his music is like, it does such a good job of like talking about current issues in a way that's realistic and grounded, still like not preachy. He's not talking at you. And also there are moments of like hope and levity. And that's really the like effect I want to have on like an audience.
Mm-hmm.
And every time I've tried to write it, it just comes out preachy or like contrite. But yeah, I don't know. The thing that excites me the most about it is just the feeling of making it or experiencing it.
Yeah, the spontaneity of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what it seems like from I got from what you're saying, which is pretty exciting too. I think that's awesome. So I was listening to some of your music out there. You have a song called Speedy Pink. Um, can you tell us about that, like the process of you making that, or like what inspired you to make that, or was that where did that come from?
Yeah, that was so funny. I was not expecting Speedy Pink to be the song that I was asked about. Yeah, so that was actually a birthday present for my mom
Oh,
last year, I think, or maybe a Christmas present. It was a present for my mom. I think it was a birthday present. So I can't remember if I had like a prompt. I don't think she gave me a prompt. I think she just like said or maybe heavily hinted that she would love for me to write a song for her. And my mom and I's relationship, we don't really buy things for each other. We make things for each other. Like that, she's super crafty. Usually when I FaceTime and she's at home, she's in her craft room making something. And we always get random little care packages. They're like resin molds or like something she like crocheted or something. So I was like, oh yeah, I do like have those skills. I could make things for you as a gift. So she, her like spirit animal, whatever, an animal that has always really resonated with her that she loves is a flamingo. And like when I was like young and the first like major house that I grew up in or whatever, we had a sunroom that was filled with flamingo stuff, and like every time we'd go somewhere we'd look for flamingo merch and like bring it back, and that was always a go-to gift and stuff. And she has a tattoo of flamingo wings on her back.
wow, your mom sounds awesome.
Yeah, she's cool. She's cool. So I wanted to do like a a song about a flamingo somehow. And I was like, okay. And I remember I did this on like I wrote most of like the lyrics and stuff on just lunch breaks at my job. And that was like, at the time I was working the ICU, so it was a great little way to totally not think about work on my lunch break. But I was like, okay, well, where do you find flamingos? Like Florida is like the only place that I think they're native in the United States. Florida Everglades, and she also loves history. Like growing up, we did a lot of like ghost tours and stuff, and that was like her way of sneaking in history for me. And like she always like visits like cemeteries and stuff, and like learns about.
I love that. I
right?
love everything about that.
Right?
Yeah.
And so I was like, okay, which way I can work history and flamingo in the same song? So I decided to do like a history of like something notable that happened in the Everglades. And I did use AI a lot in the process of writing this song of like, hey, tell me some historical stuff I could know about the Everglades. And it would give me like a bullet point. And one of the things that stuck out was about bootleggers in the Florida Everglades, and like there was this huge bootlegging scene down there, and because the swamp was so dense and thick and there were so many little windy back roads and the locals would know it way better than any like government authority or anything, there was a huge bootlegging scene down there. So I wanted to just write a song about Florida bootlegging with a flamingo as the protagonist. And I did a lot of little like crash research about the bootlegging scene there. I tried to pull a lot of like actual real like period accurate names and stuff and like terminology. And also at that point I was in this hyperfixation about psychobilly as a genre. Do you know psychobilly? It's like if you take like old timey like bluegrass and like old timey like rock and roll at like its like origination and stuff, and you inject it with like punk elements and psychedelic elements, and it's like this super zany genre that's really cool, so I wanted to make it a psychobilly song.
Now that you said that, like I hear that in that song. Like I hear that. I hear the bluegrass. I hear the like the psychedelic, like the punk, the rock, like the rock. Like I hear all of that in that song.
Yeah,
Yeah, definitely the bluegrass part too. Yeah, the
yeah.
song. Yeah,
I did a lot of research to make
yeah,
that song.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's a really nice song.
Thank
I'll
you.
link that too in the description as well. So, um, so do you have any upcoming projects or anything like that you're working on now, or are you taking a breather at
Oh,
this moment?
yeah. I'm kind of in a weird transition right now because I'm applying to grad school right now.
Oh,
Thank you.
congratulations.
And I'm taking a lot of like academic classes to try myself look better on paper because it's a really competitive process. So how much time I'm going to have for art in the
Mhm.
next like couple months is kind of a big question mark for me. Um, I that being said, I do have one song that's in the mixing stage that hopefully will be out soon. And then definitely once I know whether I'm in grad school or not, I'm done with these classes. I really want to sink my teeth in
Mhm.
to something. But no actual specific plugs or anything coming up right now.
Nice, nice. You are a nurse, so you are an everyday hero for us.
Thank you.
Yes, you always need a nurse on board, like a nurse and a firefighter. And
Yeah, we have a lot of rescue potential in this room right
yes,
now.
yes,
Yeah,
and we need the good cops too.
yeah,
So
yeah.
we definitely need a good cop around. So I'm gonna end this this interview with one last question. And that is, do you have any advice for people who may be overwhelmed, like with the state of the world, and that may not have an outlet, or not even just overwhelmed with the state of the world, but just like not knowing how to process their emotions? Like, do you have any advice for those people?
Mm,
I know that's kind of a big one.
yeah, I'm in the same. Yeah, yeah. That's hard. I'm in the same boat.
Yeah.
Honestly, I'm figuring out the answer to that question.
Yeah.
I mean, I can share what's helped me.
Okay.
It's. I think it's very like hyper individual in that answer. Definitely find a good therapist if you can afford
Mm.
it and have the time. Um, but I don't know what has helped me was putting not like blinders on because like I still do try to keep tapped in with what's happening nationally as things happen, but it's also so fast and so quick. It's so easy to get just overwhelmed. So like, let that door open a little bit as much as you need to be a little aware of what's going on because I think it's important. But I really would be more aware at a hyper local level of because that's really where you can actually have like agency with
Yeah.
things. Um, yeah, I just found out that Decatur has this newspaper called Decatorish. It's been in the DeKalb Public Library at the entrance, and it's awesome. I've been learning about so
That's
many like
cool.
yeah, highly recommend.
Yeah, I've never heard of them yet. I'm gonna look into them.
Yeah, and like they do a lot of stories about just developments going on and stuff like that, especially with the schools right now. There's a lot of schools closing,
Mhm.
um, and yeah, like I said, googling something that you're passionate about or want
Yeah.
to try to make a difference or think that you have skills that could make a
Yeah.
difference with Atlanta in the back would kind of bring up organizations. I also think just being knowledgeable, like
Yeah.
just if something is stressing you out, set aside like a structured hour or
Mhm.
so to just try to figure out whatever you can learn as far as resources that are available, the like nuances in the issues, stuff like that, so that if somebody's experiencing that around you, even if you're not volunteering or da da da, if you don't have the time or energy for that, you could at least just be able to speak to that thing and help them out
Mhm.
with it. But yeah, that being said, I also understand that like time poverty is the thing right now. That it's kind of a privilege for a lot of people to have like free time
Mhm.
and energy. So that it's a hard question to answer and is very individual based.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you so much though for answering it too, because yeah, that was a big question. I
Yeah,
didn't
it's a big
ask you.
question. Yeah, I feel like we're all trying to figure it out together. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. But I mean, one thing that I do like I asked you that question because I noticed that you're good at processing through music too, and like having creative outlets and stuff like that as well too. Because I think finding a good therapist too And then like getting it out of your body is another thing too. Like whether you have to walk it out or, or just stretch, drinking water, painting, picking, learning an instrument, like learning, like getting yourself in that space. Like, because I feel like one thing that artists gift themselves is the skill, like a skill to escape in that's
Yeah.
healthy, that's not drugs or alcohol or like partying or sex or whatever or stream scrolling or whatever. Like it's a healthy way of processing, and I see it in a lot of times in artists or musicians or people that think like that, and think in that way. But yeah, but also seeking therapy as well, like professional help is also something that's also important.
Yeah, yeah, I think that's a good point. I don't think I really answered like I think I answered like in relationships to society, but yeah, I think you kind of touched a lot on like what to do with the emotion inside your own body. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think art gives you at least some semblance of agency or like ways, like you said, ways to kind of get it out. Yeah, definitely. I think that's really important.
Yeah.
And I think it even becomes more powerful if you do like make a piece of art that has your emotions in it personally, and then you share it with a friend who's maybe done the same thing. And like when those come together and seeing how you each experience the other thing can be like really unifying and like kind of very like human experience kind of
Yeah.
thing. Yeah.
Yeah. And it gives you something to look forward to, something to like, because I'm thinking about your mom and her craft space as well. That's her own little spot. That's like her
Yeah.
own little sacred space that she has for herself. And she can just like, be as creative as she wants
Yeah.
too. So like just being able to provide yourself uh with those things to look forward to, I think is amazing. Even gardening, like, things like that. So, but thank you so much, Brody,
Yeah.
for being on our podcast and being our guest and sharing tea with us. We would love to have you over again some other time in the future.
Yeah.
So yeah, so this is Brody Taylor, everyone. We'll be linking all of his where you can find his music and connect with him in the description below, along with the organizations that he has mentioned. If you are in the Atlanta area and you want to get connected, also just doing the good old fashioned Googling as well always helps, and just being knowledgeable and, keeping yourself well and healthy too through, positive endeavors.
Yeah, yeah, self care. Yeah,
Yeah,
self care.
self-care. So yeah, so with that being said, thank you all for watching, and I hope you have a great day.
Cool. Thank you so much.
Yeah, bye-bye.